Hello. Sorry. Well, people are logging in. You can tell them where we are.
Where we are?
Yeah, where are we?
We're in Gudvangen.
We're in Gudvangen. Where's Gudvangen? India?
Gudvangen is Norway. Western coast. Find the Southern Fjord. Just search through all the narrow little crevices and you'll find it.
We're in Viking Valley. I don't know. Or Viking Valley Gudvangen. As you can see, the beautiful mountains behind us. Why can't we see the mountains? Because there's no sun. I put it there. No, because it's when does the sun come back in? March?
I don't remember the date, but it's in the middle of March somewhere.
So then, so the sun doesn't come out. It's too dark at this time of day. It is 6 o'clock at night here. I don't think we'll have light at 6 o'clock until the sun comes up over the mountain. We see the sun in March because right now it's hiding behind mountains.
Yeah. It's just the first days. It's just a little touch for a few minutes on the top of the hill, and then it moves further and further in.
Yeah. So, Torcs here. Hello, Charlotte made it. Did she get her popcorn in time? That's what I want to know. I didn't bring popcorn, but I brought a cappuccino. You don't have anything.
No, I have nothing.
Clementine.
Thank you.
Lyra of Spinning Winds is here. Good morning. We're going to finally get snow this week. We had snow. We had lots of snow. And then it rained. And we don't have snow anymore. We have ice.
Yes, we have.
You almost fell on your ass yesterday.
So many times.
We look like a little couple walking down the road. The thing is that I have to hold your arm, but the thing is I don't know if I'm holding you up or you're holding me up. But either way, one of us goes down. We're both going down. No. So to stick to walking on rocks and grass and white snow, not wet snow, because it's ice, ice, ice. Hi, Nell is here from Finland. How cold is it where you are at? I forgot to check. We're warmer this week. We're plus degrees.
-1 the last time I checked.
Really?
But
you are correct. -1. And according to Ir.no, we have partially sunny. It's just that partial sun is behind a mountain. Yeah.
And it has to be -1 now because the ice wants to stay.
Yeah.
It should never be easy to get from A to B around here.
No. So we're all doing baby steps. Like that. But we're all walking like old people now. Torrance Craft Studios here. They are completely covered in snow. I like it. No, snow is good. We need to have snow. I have to have snow in the winter. I go nuts. I don't know how they do it in the south. Asylum Farm, good morning from Wisconsin. Hello, Wisconsin. Where in Wisconsin are you from? Because as you can hear, he's Norwegian, so you sound like Count Dracula. Or Swedish. You were accused of being sounded like Swedish the other day. He's Norwegian.
The other day, it's months ago.
Yeah, but in my head, it's yesterday. Oh, good times. No, he's not Swedish. He's Norwegian. I'm American. I am from Duluth, Minnesota originally. I moved here 23 years ago. So that's not far from Wisconsin. As you know, Duluth is on the border of Wisconsin. Superior, Wisconsin is 2 minutes away. Just over a bridge. So hello, Wisconsin. Susan Youngman is here. -7 Celsius. And she's in the Adirondacks. I want to go there someday. Drea is here. Good morning. Drea's from Duluth too. If you look further up, Drea, there's someone from Wisconsin in Asylum Farm. I kind of want to go to Asylum Farm. I feel like I belong there. You don't disagree. Don't rush to disagree.
Do you want me to compliment your sanity?
No, I don't think anyone would be that stupid.
It isn't on the list of the 10 first things I would compliment about you.
No.
And yes, and she's also practically sane most of the time.
Isn't that the same thing when you say on the Vikings were practically all of the time? What is it you said? They were rating this is practically 100% true that the Vikings were rating it. You say in the beginning of your It's tour.
Yeah, no. I say something along the lines of, and that image is.
Start from the beginning. You have the mental image of Vikings.
You probably have a mental image
go.
of the Viking Age as a time when rough men come on the long ships and steal everything that isn't nailed to the ground and put fire to everything else. Kill some people and capture other people, and in general making a nuisance of themselves in all of Europe. And that image is about 100% correct.
I was thinking that image is practically true.
Well,
but it was close to 100% correct. Is correct. So
if you are a Viking,
yeah,
and you live here in Gudvangen or wherever,
mm.
then you consider your life to mostly be about goats and textiles and trading and worshipping the gods and all of the peaceful things.
Mm.
But if you're French and you think about Vikings,
yeah,
you're not thinking about the goat farmers.
You only see Vikings like this, right?
Yeah,
oh,
and the Frenchmen who see that don't talk to the other Frenchmen so much anymore.
No, I don't think we're too popular in France then. Liza's here, Elizabeth is here, and Julie Cool, and Arke Hagman, Fibre Diader. Oh, I haven't seen Fibre Diader in a while, so welcome back. How are things where you are? Elizabeth got snow. Nell says, it's not that cold anymore today. It's been +0. Oh, she's joined us. We're actually colder than Finland today. That's pretty impressive. No, last week it was pretty cold. Heidi Lisette is here. Runa is at home this week, but he will come back next week. He's going to steal my car and fix it for me because he knows a guy. Pruda says 1 degree above 0 here now, which means 40 centimeters of snow is turning into slush. Yeah, that's kind of what it's doing here, but it's icy slush. It's hardening to ice, and then it starts to melt into more ice. Nell says it's perfect snowman weather. We didn't build a snowman. We should have done that. We made impressions in the snow, though, but we didn't build any snowmans.
Your daughter built a snowman that lasted for a very long time.
Yeah, she did. Look this tall, though. It had a creepy expression and little twigs sticking out of it like that. So it might have been the second coming of the Lord via snowman, the way she built it. It was... No, it was a little one that she put on the table outside, and that lasted at least 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I was impressed. But no, we should build a snowman. No, we just drew names in the snow and other things. Liza Elizabeth said she found out that she's Swedish and Norwegian. Did you know people could be both?
Yeah, the combination is not completely unknown.
Okay. And where did you get your torque? Haha. I will show you. This one is that guy, which looks like these. Oh, they show up really well on the camera. And I have one more. Yeah, this one. They look quite the same, but one is reddish. Anyway, I will show you where I got them from. I will write it. I got it from Pilar Art, and another one was Ravnleir. Ravneriet, that's what is it? Ravneriet. Norway. Anyway, one of them is Poland. He comes here every single year, goes to all the markets in Norway. He's been doing this for a long time. His name is Gregers, if I'm saying that correctly. I buy my bling from him. All of them. Except for this one, because I made that. Runa made one too, by the way. I made one for my kids. This was with some Latvian people here. So you can see I made it because the lines aren't connected very correctly. I did a pretty crappy job. But that just means there's more love in them, right? At least that's the lie I'm telling my kids because I did a crappy job on theirs. And when you do a really good job in a market, they give you one of these. This is what happens if you work at a market and don't sleep. You have something like that too.
Yeah.
From, I don't know, did you sleep at the market and get one, or did you not sleep, or how did you get yours?
No, it was, we had an event for a...
Yours are silver, though. You got more expensive ones than I do.
We had an event, and the village was really messy. So we were like 4 people doing most of the clearing up, working 12 to 18-hour days to get this place in working condition before this event. And this is recognition from the boss for that.
Oh, yeah, you got to turn them too, though, because you got, I don't know if you can turn them. They sit really well in there. You got heads on there. Like that. They're cool. And the other one's for me because I own your ass.
Yeah, it was a lot more pleasurable to deserve that one.
Yeah. When is Karl going to give you my? When is Karl giving you my keys? Your keys, Perota? Right. When are you giving me your keys?
What, are you dissatisfied with the textile house?
I bought my own. No, I have the house. I have to give him a key. Oh shit. There you go. You can have the key to the textile house. Enjoy. That makes you my bitch. We're going straight to hell. No. Yeah. So why is Pruda asking me if you gave me your keys? There's a story there.
Yeah, it's Viking tradition. A married Viking woman has a lot more freedom than their counterparts on the continent. So she will be, the term is husfrue,
Housewife.
mistress of the house, something like that.
Lady of the, I want to be the mistress. Okay, no, I'm sorry. Okay, anyway, lady of the house.
And one of the symbols of her authority is the keys. Married women are often buried with probably symbolic keys because they probably didn't want to exchange all the locks just because somebody died.
Yeah.
And I think this power is more than just symbolic. The reason for this is that when people are traveling a lot, out riding or whatever, you need somebody you can trust to take care of your farm while you're gone. And this is one of the cases when you can't necessarily trust your relatives that you would normally depend on. Because they might get strange ideas about the ownership of goats or grazing rights or that sort of thing if you leave it up to them for too long, because they probably live nearby and have their own farms. You absolutely cannot trust your slaves because they would take the first opportunity to take the first boat back to Ireland or whatever. So,
France.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the person you can trust to have exactly the same interest as yourself is your wife. So women just have to have more autonomy in a society like this than they would have other places.
There you go. So that is why. Hello, Angela Ecker made it for the first time. 27 degrees where she is Fahrenheit. So that's a little colder than here. 32 is 0. 32 Fahrenheit is 0 Celsius. No, so there you go. So is it, there's actually some that have lots of keys, more than one. What does that mean? Do they have a lot of men in their lives?
Yeah, probably not. They probably have more than one lock in their house. They have
that's more boring.
The mead cupboard and the weapons cabinet and
so she can't just like walk around with a janitorial ring of keys and just shake them at every guy she meets. Wear them with pride. Because she's got a lot of men.
That would be like trying to pick up men by showing them how nice your wedding ring is.
Yeah.
Probably not very effective.
Some people like that. I don't know. It's kind of confusing, but Bjornarda is here. Hello from Bjornarda and Kaya. Nice to see you live.
Hi.
How do we know them?
That would be my sister and her man.
Did Bjornarda give you a key, Kaya? Just wondering. Yeah. And they are south of here in warmer temperatures, I think.
Don't know if it's much warmer, but...
Prime Genesis made, I know who that is. He said his nephew made a spiral hat for his nephew. Of course he will like it because the spiral is... I did see somebody wrote on, if you can make a round star hat where there's 2 yarns that go around each other. So it's a spiral. And basically you would have, how one hat has an ending point. So this would have an ending point there and maybe an ending point there as they go around. You can also start at the bottom with 2. Anyway, I noticed she one person posted on there that if you wanted, there's a feathering look when you're doing 2 colors. which showed up better on yours than mine because of the contrasting colors. But it can look like feathering. And she had mentioned if you turned it inside out, you'll get a smoother look. So this is technically the round side, but it's, I don't know if you can see the difference there. There's like feathering and one's more smooth. So this would be more, smooth line anyway, more clean lines. And you get to decide which way is the right side or the wrong side. But I'm going to go with the feathering because I kind of like the feathering look. But anyway, on spiral where your increases are, that'll show a little bit more on the feathering than it would on the smooth side. But stick with the feathering side. I'm going with that one. We'll see what your nephew chooses. Anyway, but he made his first spiral hat. With you, he used my tutorial, so you know it's good. No, but he followed it to a T. He picked it up just well, and I think that is a compliment from hell because that means I didn't do a bad job writing the damn thing. He also made a poncho that looks like I'm the crazy Aussie who made the Clint Eastwood style poncho. That thing is cool. Have I ever showed you that? No, you have to write your Instagram because I know you have it on your Instagram. Anyway, it's a lot of work. I have not made a poncho because it goes back and forth like a blanket, and most needle binding is done in the round. So that makes you better than me. Don't tell anyone because I have to do more things that go back and forth, and I've only done probably about 4 or 5 things, and I haven't finished any of them. How much did I pay for Karl? I don't think I paid anything. Did I pay for? No, I paid. Oh, yeah, this one. Yeah, that I paid. Well, that's silver, so I paid.
Some food and some iced coffee.
It was easy. No. Food and iced coffee. Yeah, no, you can get Karl with iced coffee. That's true. You go through how many of those a day?
You should probably not tell them this.
No, I'm not going to tell you that. Okay. Anyway, no, you can't have him for iced coffee. It costs a lot more. He's very expensive. He's mine. Get your own. Charlotte's here. She has candy, koster med kaffe och mandarin, surtnoser. She says, enjoy, have a good time with coffee and mandarins. We don't have a Norwegian or an English word for kos. K-O-S. I know the Americans have picked up the word hygge, which is Danish, isn't it, for kos?
No, you can use it in Norwegian as well. It basically means the same thing.
But it's not kos is like, you can use kos as a standalone word.
Koselig, hyggelig means...
Maybe you'd say ha det hyggelig, you wouldn't say hygge dere, hygge you.
Yeah.
Or would you?
You could, yes.
Yeah. You notice that's in a lot of...
That's very bokmål, but...
Yeah, I speak bokmål Norwegian, you speak nynorsk. We've gone through that one before. But what does kos mean? I can't find one word for that in English.
Comfortable, relaxing fun.
Yeah, you could snuggle up by a fire. That's kos, ha det koselig, or whatever. You could just enjoy yourselves, have a good time. That's kos. Sit down and relax. That's kos. I don't know. Anyway, we don't have one word for that in English. Thought we should, but it's a good word. Netflix, kos. Let's see. Drea wrote, weren't round towers built to protect people from Viking raids like a tree fort? Pull the ladder up behind you and say, what's the secret password?
Yeah, yes, that was probably done. Irish and French reenactors would probably know more about it, but we have something similar in Norway, but that's from before the Viking Age. That's from the migration period. It's called the Bygdeborg, village fortress. Generally, it's on a high point away from the village, but when you are under attack, you move everything valuable into that thing and as many people as you can have room for. And they are obviously not impenetrable, but they will cost more to take than they are worth. So riders will generally just move on.
What about okay, this isn't Viking, this would be afterwards, but my former father-in-law loves to tell the story about how Norwegians would build their houses up on tall cliffs and then have like a little rope ladder, so when the tax collector came, they could just pull up the ladder so they wouldn't have to pay the taxes. Whether that is true, I don't know, but he loves the story.
I would say it's probably true somewhere. you have a lot of weird locations for Norwegian farms. And it was dark when we were at the last ferry when we went to Selje.
Yeah.
But on the other side there you have one of these farms that you basically you have to climb to get there.
Yeah.
And if you have a rope ladder, then it's no reason to leave it out for the taxman.
No, I like it.
In Sogndal, there is a river that kind of cuts through the. This is between Sogndal and Gaupne. There is a river that kind of makes this ravine, and the ravine has like two outcroppings that almost meet. It's like 6 meters or something between it.
Yeah.
And it's called Futaspranga, or tax collector's jump, because according to legend, back in the early medieval time, they had a tax collector that drove them so nuts that the local farmers just decided, hey, well, let's kill that guy. And they are hunting him up this road, and he decides to take the chance and runs and jumps across. And he barely makes it, and none of the farmers there jump after him, so he survived.
No, I've seen lots of houses that are built up. In Hardanger, there were some too, and I don't know how in the hell they got there, or you'd need a boat to get to it, or, yeah. But there's actually quite a bit when drive along the coast anyway, you can see. I mean, I assume they're getting their inland from another direction, but it doesn't look like there's any feasible way to get to them.
No, we do occasionally run out of land, so we start doing weird things like farming vertical mountain cliffs and that sort of thing. This notably seems to happen right before the Viking Age, right before the Black Death, and right before the immigration to America. We run out of good farming land, and we start farming the not so good farming land. But sometimes there are advantages to having a farm on a dickish position. You might have better, if you have a farm in the mountains, you might have better access to game animals or salmon or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And that might be the difference between having a farm that basically is completely self-sufficient and you only produce what you yourself need, or having a farm that produces a money crop. If you can sell reindeer meat, skins, smoked salmon, that sort of thing, you will have a little bit of silvers to basically add to your economy.
How much of Norway is mountain, actually? Is it pretty much all of it? Except for the little chunk closer to Sweden in the south?
Well, if you look at the topographical map, that gives a good idea. I don't know a percentile, and it also kind of depends on how you define mountain. But very little of Norway is flat. That's basically just Jæren. That's Denmark like flat. But the rest of Norway is, even Vestby is, that would be considered extremely rough terrain if it was in Denmark.
Oh, that's true, yeah. Because we have a lot of rock. But there was also or some of the first maps that were drawn of Norway, there was the whole section of Hardanger, I think, that is missing on the map because it's just like Mordor, because nobody could get there.
There be dragons.
Yeah. But was that just that part, or was there others?
No, there was a lot of weird things with the first maps. You've heard about a Norwegian town called Flora?
Yeah.
Is the Danish ending for island.
Yeah.
It's not an island. No. But the Danish cartographer didn't bother to walk all around it. And it is almost an island. So he just assumed that it was an island and moved right along.
Yeah.
So therefore we have town that is not an island, but is named as if it was an island.
All right. Just playing with my iron. But luckily you're sitting on the left side of me, so you're not getting hit.
I'm not getting stabbed today.
With my big needle. Bjorn Arne suggests snuggly for koselig. I would kind of agree with that one too, I think. I think that's the best word for it. Kos is just K-O-S. Koselig is turning it into an adjective, I think. I have to scroll up a little bit. Faber Diarda said, sorry I have to leave. I understand nothing, but the web flow is too bad. Oh, but it'll be up so you can come back and watch afterwards. I saw that YouTube will sometimes auto-translate me. I'm surprised. Actually, I'm very impressed with the program because I talk extremely fast and it actually gets most of it correct. But there's a couple of things that translate incorrectly. Anyway, Karin Halleck is here. Hello. She's chance of rain 57 Fahrenheit. So she's pretty warm. RK Higgsman says, I love that making a nuisance of themselves all over Europe. The Vikings. Yes. Norwegians can make a nuisance.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Do you have a good story of an excellent nuisance example? Probably one of the most annoying.
Norwegians, because of relatively high pay and high taxes.
Yeah.
As soon as we go to a foreign country, we are immediately very rich.
Yeah.
And every other country in the world, except for the Middle East, has a more liberal policy when it comes to alcohol than we have.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, alcohol is cheap and we are rich.
Mm.
And with the possible exception of the Finnish, no offense, we have the worst drinking culture in the world.
Yeah.
So if you go with the busload of Norwegians to anywhere in the world and you lose your group, just be completely quiet and listen, and you'll find them very quickly. I was on a school trip to Berlin back in '97, and I lost my group, and I just stood in the middle of Kurfürsten Dam and listened. And I heard drunken rivings in Norwegian all around me. No problem finding Norwegians.
That's because it's cheap to drink in Germany compared to Norway. I think you can get 3 beers for the price of 1.
Yeah, at least.
3 German for 1 Norwegian.
At least. And Norwegians are good at saving money, and under these circumstances, you can't afford not to drink.
Doro's here and Karsten. Hello. Let's see. When I do the Oslo stitch, right, Lisbeth, when you started, how do you know which loop to go into? If you're talking about the next row, this end, if I hold it this way, the yarn is up. This loop, which tightens, is the one that goes on my thumb. That one. If I pull the top left side of this loop a little bit, this one, you can point with that. This one starts to get tighter. This is the second loop on my thumb. So this is the loop I would go to for Oslo stitch. You can also see first loop, second loop, third loop. It also kind of sits, when you have this one on your thumb, the first one behind your thumb sits kind of loose, like a hat. And you go that way around and then turn. But you could, if you want to, leave the second loop on your thumb so it looks like that when you do it. And then instead of pushing this one behind your thumb right away, you could, let's see, turn right. You can pick it up from the left side, from underneath, and take it off and leave it on your needle and then turn. And that's the first loop behind. But if you're unsure, just actually, I wasn't supposed to make that stitch, so I'm going to have to take it out now. There. Anyway, but that's how you find out when you lay it flat with the string. That's the working thread has to be on the top and pointing up. If you tighten a little bit, the one that gets tighter is your first stitch. If you grab that stitch from the top left and pull it that way, the next stitch that tightens is your first stitch, is your second stitch. Hope that helped a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, Prime Genesis. I think that's Prime Bunny on Instagram. Anyway, he's really good. And a male needle binder. Yay. See, guys can do it.
Yeah, no,
I know.
I have no doubt.
No, they can actually. I think I would dare to guess and say that the percentage of men to women needle binding is higher than the percentage of men to women either doing crochet or knitting. I don't know, but I would take that guess because of the Viking and reenactment connection.
Possibly.
Yeah. We could do a poll. I should do a poll. I did a poll on the Nalbinding Facebook group, or Nalbinding Facebook group, and that one shows that we have a lot of new people. So it's really good to see. Angela Acker said just one that I think. Let's see. Bright and sunny day where RK Hagman is. Turin's Craft Studio says, my boyfriend gave me a fancy key on our first anniversary. It was shaped like a hero sword from the Legend of Zelda video game. My favorite video game. I used to play that game. Did you? Zelda?
No,
No. There's most of them look normal, more like keys, but I went with that one. And this is a fine. Do you know where this one is from?
I don't know. I think, I'm not sure about this, but I think that key design is pretty common from the Viking Age.
Yeah.
The locks are really integrated, complicated, which indicates that theft must have been a real concern in the Viking Age.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because it's hard to imagine that would be hard to pick.
You don't know the design of the lock when you see the keyhole
No,
from
this
the
is
outside.
a good point.
And having something that has to basically go in and then hit 3 connection points and then either possibly pull down, I don't know, because the design varies a lot. There isn't really a standardized system for it.
I liked it because it looked the least like a key out of all of them. So that's kind of why I went for it. But I don't have that kind of lock on the house. Sorry, I dropped my needle binding. Oh, my tutorials are awesome like that. This is Oslo stitch, by the way, that I'm doing here. It's the same on all of these, actually. These are all Oslo stitch. You can tell because maybe it shows better on the blue one because it's solid. It makes little diamonds, these diamonds there. Looks like squares or diamonds. Some people call them pearls. When you do any other finished stitches, for example, Malmen and Corrigan and finish 2+2, Broden, all of those, it starts looking more feathery, and you don't get diamonds. You get more like, I don't know what you'd call that, a ladder. Should we call it a ladder? Anyway, it doesn't look quite like a diamond. And if you do York stitch, I don't have an example of that on me, but York stitch is just purely, it looks like straw again and again and again. So that's how I can tell that it's Oslo. Oslo is one of the easiest ones to do, but you can, it's faster because it's just the one loop behind your thumb and the one loop on your thumb. But it's also looser. Depending, unless you use really fat yarn, you could use fat yarn and that would make it thicker, or you could tighten it to the needle. To needle tension, you see, I'm making a sock here, so I have to get this right. To needle tension, you do your stitch, but then you take your thumb out of the stitch, tighten it to the needle, and then put your thumb back in and tighten. And that'll also make your stitches smaller. Another way to make your stitches tighter, I have to make that loose though because I have a gauge here. Another way to make your stitches a little bit tighter is you go F2. If you're going into the next stitch on the row, which is this one, I'm taking it from behind just so you can see it. That's F1. You take it from the front, obviously, so this way. But if you take this one and the one you just went in at the same time, that's F2. So it'd be like that before you even do your stitch on your needle. And that makes it tighter too. Or you could use just fat yarn. Fat yarn makes fast. It was a good bargain I got you for. One iced coffee too. No, it was a lot of iced coffees. I'm still paying. Actually, he drinks a lot of iced coffee. Yeah, Prime Bunny Craft. You have to go and check out his Instagram. He's got a lot of needle binding on there and a lot of fun stuff too, and a lot of bunnies. And all the bunnies have their little outfits and stories. Let's see. Catch up here a little bit on chat. Joseph Kennedy, you need naturally dyed Viking cutout of Bernie Sanders with mittens on a chair in the background. We have one. The guy in Viking Diner made one. Okay, I showed you the mittens from Bernie Sanders. Okay, but these are not just something he had for the inauguration speech, but because he just kind of sat there quite happily, all by himself in social distancing with his nice little mittens that are handcrafted. Apparently that was a bit of a political statement, but those mittens go actually quite further back than the inauguration speech, and they actually have their own Twitter account. I don't use Twitter, but I think it's at Bernie's mittens. Anyway, but the lady that was making them, apparently she used to make a whole bunch of them. She doesn't make them anymore. But the cool thing about them is they're made from recycled sweaters. You can tell if you look close on them. One has the knitting pattern going this way, but if you look at the palm, it's like part of it has a knitting pattern going this way. And then there's some weaving or something there, but she basically cut out the pieces. I think there's 3 pieces. There's one like this. There's one that's just like this. And then there's one like this. And then she sewed them together and lined them. So you can run to Goodwill or whatever you want, secondhand shop, find some sweaters, shrink them, cut them up into the pieces you need and sew them all back together. And you can have a pair of Bernie Sander mittens. But yeah, no, the trend is apparently to now cut out the picture of just the bit of Bernie sitting in the chair with his mittens very happily and just put any background you want on him. So I noticed the guy from the diner put one in the village sitting at a folding chair next to Anders and Liga, I think. I can't remember anyway. So Bernie's been here, kind of not. So anyway, but yeah, I noticed it's a really cool trending. I like the picture of Bernie sitting there with his nice little handmade mittens. If it wasn't for the handmade mittens, I wouldn't like it so much, I'm sure. Congratulations on your new president of the United States. And that's as political as I'm going to get. Asylum farm, crucially cozy, but with more nuance, snugly safe, refuge, intimacy, conviviality, is that a word? Yeah, it is. Nourishment, warmth, light, and kinship. That's all true. So I couldn't find one word. She found 12. Depends if you want to make a mountain out of a molehill for your house in Texas. Bernice Antoine, hello. Drea writes, Lyra writes, I'm in embroidery Schleppnir design on my boyfriend's mom's writing tunic. Thanks to Greg for telling the story and inspiring me about it. I'll post it on Instagram when I'm done. I want to see that. Greg says hello, by the way. He is also at home today, but will come back next week. Do you know what kind of metal my Torque is? Brass, because I'm cheap. No, bronze. This is brass. These are bronze. This one is a higher quality bronze for some reason. Yours are not, though. You're the expensive boy. He's silver. But I went with bronze. I'm telling everybody because it's a warmer color and it looks just better on me in warmer tones, but it's because I'm cheap. Heidi's here. Heidi from Morton, or Runa's Heidi, not the sister, but the other one, Heidi Marie. Yep. She says hi. Share Tima for my cutting vegetalbisk, soon to bake from the oven, home alone without Runa and my kids, missing people. Somebody send Heidi a hug. She's missing Runa and everybody. We miss her too. Yes, I will do a poll for the men thing. I think we'll figure that one out. I'm kind of curious to see how many men do needle binding. The percentage. Asylum Farm from Wisconsin says, my husband and I are learning to needle bind. I hope I get the hang of it before him. Oh God, yeah. Make a competition out of it. I would do that. You have to learn how to needle bind now. Oh, we could do that live on YouTube. Karl gets a needle binding session. You know he's not a textile person. I'll learn to sword fight. I don't think that's going to end up really well, but I think I'd probably...
That's for good content, I think.
You learning to needle bind and me learning to sword fight. I think I'd stab myself. Does it count if I fall on my own sword as a kill?
You keep stabbing me when you're needle binding, so...
That's why he's sitting on the left instead of the right today. We taught Turtle, okay, the CEO, or I mean not the CEO, but Studer later anyway of she's our boss. So we head honcho anyway. She is God. She is not. She is fibrally unchallenged. I mean, fibrally challenged is a nice way of saying it.
It's also probably fair to point out that there are rabid badgers with more patience than that woman.
Oh God, I think it was week 14. So if you go all the way back to week 14, there's one where we're all sitting out on the grass in the village anyway, and she kind of pops in and surprises us. She forgot we were going to be on YouTube that day, and then she sits down, says, "Teach me how to needle bind." And I think within about 5 minutes, she was up and having a cigarette after throwing a tantrum. We had to hide the knives. That was fun. So you could do better than that.
Turtle, I think I can beat.
Okay, game on. Eurydice made it. Hello. Turin also likes copper and bronze the best. I do actually like the warmer colors. That's why I do that. The lady in his hometown in Epsy is utterly inundated with messages. I saw the Bernie's mittens thing. I'm a little behind on text. Vermont teddy bear make Bernie bear, and they used a picture of Bernie and put him on the bench outside the store. Writes Prime Bunny. That's cute. Arcayman says that he looks so non-cool and doesn't care. Good on him. Maybe that's why everyone likes the Bernie sitting on the chair with his. I just like his mittens. I guess we're gonna have to make those now. Bernie Sanders Viking mittens. Think we can do it? Take like different pieces of Nalbinding sweaters and cut them up, and I'm reaching here. Heidi says, have we seen Olav on NRK, by the way? Was Olav on NRK?
No.
NRK is a TV station, but nrk.no is the local TV station in national TV station.
He was on the national TV many years ago when the tunnel caught fire.
Yeah, tell that story. That's a good one.
He has this. He is the Toril's husband. He runs the hotel on the other side of the river. And he has this really big van thing, and because of this tunnel is going down by. It's not that steep, but it's pretty long. So occasionally you have trailers that overheat because they are sitting on the brakes all the way through the tunnel. And that's what happened here. And a trailer literally catches fire in the tunnel, which obviously is kind of dangerous. And there is a bus of some kind of Asian tourists that is stuck in there. And Olav evacuates all of them in his car.
It was like 12, wasn't it? Something like that?
I think it was more than that, but it must have been pretty packed.
There's a racist joke in there somewhere. How many Asians can you fit in a van? A Norwegian van? I don't know. It's really... But yeah, I know he saved them all.
He did.
He got, it's the smoke that gets you, not the fire.
Yeah.
But then they got him all out, and he was on the news for that. And yeah, so that could be. I would, if they're replaying that, they could be. Lisbeth said she's trying to find a craftsperson who can make out a torque out of stainless steel. Think Anders can do that? Or blacksmith?
I wouldn't know. Probably.
Right. Frey. Oh no, he's got a new one. Viking blacksmith.
This is not my field, so what I'm saying now might be completely wrong, but I think stainless is kind of difficult to work with. But if you have it out of normal steel and you take good care of it, it will look, you will have the same shininess as stainless.
Well, he takes commissions, so you can, oh my God, we're having a hair day. He takes commissions, so you can find, I wrote it down, you can send him a question and see what he can do. I think if it's really hard to make one out of stainless steel, he should definitely have that. Because challenge, anything that'll make him cry. No. No, I think he would like it. He'd like the challenge anyway.
I don't know. I might be wrong also.
Yeah.
This is not my field.
No, we'll get him here one day. Random AFP says, Arg had to go to the shop. Welcome back. See. Prue de Flor said, I can make such jokes about who's stabbing. This is from the polar bear rug lady. Yeah. She's got polar bear fur in places we don't want to mention.
Polar bear rug sounds very expensive. We should probably look for a cheaper alternative.
Norwegians use reindeer. Prime writes, laugh out loud swords versus needle binding needles. Oh, I don't like own your ass. I can wield this sucker like nobody's business. Meanwhile, you've been sword fighting longer than I've been needle binding, though.
Yes, but with things like 5-year breaks in between.
I got dexterity. 10 years for me.
I'm getting murdered by Greg on a semi-regular basis, so I'm not a super competent fighter.
Well, he's half your age too, but he also like owned everybody, not just you, but he took them in order. Everybody 40 plus. I think there were 4 of you, and he's knocking you down one by one. But you know what? He was really good at conserving his energy. I think that was it.
Yeah, and he is very strong.
Yeah. These that's the one in the description where I wrote Greg.Weller31 or Greg.Weller.31 or Wolf Slayer Forge. You can find it in the description. I think he has some pictures from that. Kaya says, yes, Karin learning sword fighting and Karl learning needle binding would be great contact. You're filming it, Kaya. I think that would be good. She's not that far from here.
Yeah, it's...
I think she'd do it if...
it's further than Selja, but in the opposite direction.
Vinterferia, game on. Karen's needle binding versus Karl's sword fighting, or back or the opposite anyway in Selja. I think that would be. I'm gonna get my ass handed to me. Bonnie, Aunt Bonnie is here. I wish we were closer. I have several pieces of wool I'd give you to use. Well, you can send them, but it costs a fortune, and it is well, it'll take a while to get here because of postage, etc. But I'm a patient person. I will whore myself for wool. Yeah, this one I've told you too. So Drea writes, a man in a van down by the river. It was Chris Farley, I think is his name anyway. It was on Saturday Night Live, 80s, 90s, telling the story about the motivational speaker, the man who lives in a van down by the river.
Yeah, you showed me this.
Yep. So I'd hire him. He breaks everything in the house, but it would be worth it. Alder Cover says, I love spear fighting. Do you do spear fighting?
Yes.
What do you prefer?
It's a little bit more tricky because you have to consider safety completely differently when you're dealing with the spear. So no stabbing upwards, no aiming for things over nipple height. So the spear is it's kind of nerfed in reenactment combat.
Yeah.
It's still very effective, and when you're dealing with somebody who knows how to use it, it's an impressive weapon. But my experience with pole weapons is limited. I have some, but not much.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm thinking Peruda here.
Yes.
So we have two spears in the village. I broke him. We have two spears in the village. One has just like this, but the other one has a cross.
Yeah,
I thought was interesting.
It's a winged spear. There are some finds of this from the Viking Age. I associate them with Trøndelag. I don't know if that is because I've seen one that was found in Trøndelag or because they were more common.
That's
in
north
Trøndelag.
of here, yeah.
But these wings are very good for taking down the shield of your opponent. So if you lay the spear on top of his shield, or you stab at his face and he parries with the shield, you pull back immediately and flip his shield out, because the wing will catch the rim of the shield, and you will have a lot of torque because of the distance between his point of holding and your point of pulling. And this opens him up, and then you stab again, or you hope somebody else stabs, or whatever.
I liked that one. I didn't realize. I thought it was just for gripping onto shields, etc. But so that it doesn't.
A lot of people think it's a boar spear because normal animals mostly run away when you try to kill them. Fight or flight instinct. The boar seems to only have a fight instinct. It attacks when you provoke it. So the trick for hunting them was to put the spear into the ground so that they basically run themselves onto the spear. And the boar spear has kind of like wings, but they're meant to stop the boar from coming all the way down the spear shaft, because he might still kill you even with the spear going all the way through him. But on the boar spear, these are 90 degrees off, because these wings would do something, but they would not do a lot when it comes to prevent the spear from penetrating too deep, because they are in alignment with the edge of the spear. So the edge of the spear will make a hole big enough for the wings to go through. But if the wings were over under instead of on the sides, then you would have a boar spear.
Well, I thought that was an interesting thing to know anyway, that it also so that it wouldn't get stuck. It wouldn't go all the way through, and then you could
I've
actually...
also seen some really impressive disarms with the winged spear, particularly axes. If you get the wings in under an axe head in the correct angle and you are fast, you can pick the axe out of the hand of your opponent.
How would you do that?
It's mostly a matter of luck when you're fighting for real. I've seen it happen like 3 or 4 times.
Have you ever pulled it off?
No, not like that. I have pulled off disarms, but what I usually do is a combination of either my skarmasaks or my shield and my sword. So that I catch somebody's weapon two-sided and then just pull it straight out.
And I saw I missed some other questions here too. Nell says, do they have separate findings of that key type, or are all findings grave findings? Or are all the findings grave findings?
I don't know. I know it's a common find in graves, but I don't know if there are any finds that are not grave finds.
So if you bury the key, does that mean nobody can have the house and the access to the alcohol and gold? And
presumably the buried keys are symbolic.
Okay.
Not necessarily. It depends on how rich you are. You might be buried with both the key and the chest that the key belongs to, for instance. But having your entire family locked out of the house because the woman of the house is now buried with the keys, that would be stupid. I don't think they did that.
It'd make for good storytelling, though. Of course, they all brought the story with them, so who wouldn't know? Right on their epitaph, anyway. The bitch took my key. I would do that. Give me your key, Karl. I saw Bernice is also learning telemark stitch, but with a thin yarn, and it's not going so well. You can try with a thicker yarn. There are 3 ways to do telemark, which is the exact same as Dalby. Telemark is a Russian stitch, so it's done a little different. You go. When I do it, I go away through the 2nd loop, but under the 3rd loop, and then you have to, it's confusing, and then you go back through the 2nd loop again before going through. But the difference between telemark and Dalby is when you finish, Dalby goes under the working yarn, telemark goes over the working yarn. But I know New Lock and Tot, I can write that. New Lock and Tot.fi, I'm probably butchering it, but Nell says I'm not doing that bad. She's got some videos, at least 3 ways to do that one. But it's a nice flat stitch if you're going to ever embroider on top of Nalbinding. That's a good one to do. But you could try a thicker yarn so it's not so lacy if the yarn is too thin. Let's see. Now we can catch up down here. Laugh out loud, pull weapon, says Brian. That's a guy. He knows what I'm talking about. Oh, he's on tour. He's back from Germany. Hello, Nadine and Marcus. We've missed you guys. Pruda says, I take no responsibility for that one. That's Karen's dirty mind. You're getting me in trouble here. I just finished Hector's Kloppenrock. Oh, I have to see. Oh, it's on Instagram. I need to see. And Ikaflick, lovely to see someone other than Ross talking about boar spears. He's still trying to talk to me into letting him get one. Which you have a lot of weapons though. Which is your favorite? Well, which weapons do you have first?
For Viking purposes?
Yeah.
Skarmasaks, hand axe, dynax, spear, javelins. I think the only thing I lack is a bow. And that is the only thing I lack is a bow, if I am right about what guy it is.
You have a sword too.
Yeah,
you said that, yeah.
There is this weapon that is mentioned in some of the sagas, and people can't agree on what it is. It's called an Åtgeir, and yeah. It's sometimes translated to Viking halberd. I think it's just a spear with a big a fairly big blade on the end.
What is your favorite to fight with?
Sword and shield, at least within the constraints of reenactment combat. That is, I am tempted to say, objectively the best combination.
And why do you like that the most?
The sword is much faster than the other weapons because the point of balance is practically in your hand instead of more than halfway up the blade, like it is with an axe.
Mm.
The sword has the same range as a hand axe. The shield, at least if you have a good one, is almost as fast as a Skarmas axe, and it parries a much larger area.
Mm.
The only reason I don't do that all the time, that this is what everybody is good at. This is where everybody starts.
Hmm.
So having somebody who really masters axe or spear is uncommon and very fascinating to fight against.
And you're talking normal size Viking shield, not that little teeny tiny dinner plate you had.
No, the teeny dinner plate or the buckler.
That was in Celia,
that's from after the Viking Age. There is a possibility that shields that small were in use in the Viking Age, but we don't know that for sure. And between 60 to 80 centimeters in diameter is what you would expect a Viking sword to be. I think the fines are 83 or something, the ones that you can measure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
The dinner plate shield, though, you had that one right after Christmas.
Yeah.
I think it was the 26th, whichever YouTube we sent just after Christmas anyway. In Celia, that one.
Yeah,
then you can see it there.
That's probably.
So you weren't far off when you called it a dinner plate, though.
Yeah, and also a Viking shield is
it's a real small buckler.
Kind of it's a kind of flimsy construction considering what it will be subjected to in battle. And if you beat on it enough, you are left with something that very much would look like the buckler.
Yeah, like that Julie Coolwright, those types of keys are bent for function. Yeah, I would think it'd be easier to use that than the other ones. Bernice says, thank you for the link. I will try with a thicker yarn indeed, because I get lost with the loops behind the thumb and the thin yarn. If you see also that this yarn is 2-ply, that means there's 2 threads going around. You can try with 1-ply. It might, if you pull 1-ply yarn in short pulls, it holds up really well and it's easier to not get confused. But if you have 1-ply yarn and you pull it like this, it will rip in the middle quite quickly. So be careful with 1-ply yarn, but that way you won't confuse some of these twists. For these, like for example, each one of these can look like 2 stitches instead of 1. So that might also help when learning a new stitch. Just be careful when you pull 1-ply or loopy yarn through. Alder writes, in my group, we train first with spear and axes, but we use a lot of swords. So most do.
Historically, actual Vikings, more of them would have spear and axes than sword. Sword would be expensive and exclusive.
They wrote, where is that spear rule enforced, by the way, that you were talking about?
And
I think you're the one with the nipple or whatever.
Ask
me why I remember that.
It might be.
Anyway, where is that rule enforced?
I don't know how roughly it's enforced, but I don't know if there is any standardized rules. This is how I learned to use the spear when I was in Bergen with elements of Kongsheden. It has to do with phases for the most part, and with information. If you are stabbing too high and your opponent parries to the side, then you might hit somebody else in the face. Spears are very fast, and you have more control on a sword or an axe because it's limited how much other people can move them around.
There was one more question I'll throw in there before, because I see we are just about at 1 hour. That went fast, by the way. I had fun. Where was it? About the keys. Where did I see it? Nell was writing. Yeah, I was thinking if the buried keys are bent to keep the spirit out of the house, but the lady of the house would have access to all her wealth in the afterlife. Thoughts?
Maybe. I think these keys are bent like that because the lock is designed to be opened by a key that is bent like that.
Yeah.
I don't think it is meant to be rendered inoperable.
No, another one said it was for function. The bend was for better function.
But they do something like that with weapons for some reason. They very often kill swords in the graves. This I need to read up on a little bit.
That's the question for next week then. Why the swords are all bent in the graves. That's good though, because we'll be here next week, Saturday at same time. So 6 o'clock my time, or the same time we just had now. One other thing worth noticing, if you go straight up somewhere along there, you will see Heidi Hortense turned to log anyway. She writes out that the Olav she was referring to is not our Olav, but a TV series on there, and you can see that she's featured in it if you look at the certain minutes. She did some extra work there. Yep. Anyway, but we're leaving because it's 1 hour. So thank you for playing with us. Greg and Runa will hopefully be here next week. They said to say hello though. Bye-bye. Oh, wait, no, Bjorn Arna you have to answer him. He's related to you. Thanks for keeping, or no, wait, another official rule for the spear is not to strike higher than the shield boss on the enemy shield. If you do, the shield could tip back and the spear slide up and off into the teeth eyes.
Okay.
You're in agreement?
It makes sense. I haven't heard that one, but it makes sense.
If it doesn't, it's a family feud because he's your brother-in-law. And then Joseph says, thank you for keeping this going. For many of our rotating and interesting guests, it's good to be. Oh, that's so good to see. Thank you very much. And just wait. Once we'll be out in the village again as soon as there's light. Okay. Bye-bye. And stream.